A college student was arrested for driving under the influence after passing multiple field sobriety tests and blowing all zeros on a breathalyzer test. Whoa, I'm kind of getting deja vu. It's kind of shocking that this exact same scenario can happen more than once, but also it's not shocking at all. But today, we will not be dissecting the Taven Galanakis case again. There's no update on that case, by the way, just waiting for trial. Instead, we are looking at the arrest of McClain Edward Fineran, a 19-year-old college student who was, as I already mentioned, unjustly arrested for a DUI. Hey, I'm America's attorney. I've been a lawyer for almost 24 years. I've helped over 3 million people. Let's get started. McClain Fineran is a 19-year-old freshman kicker for Shorter University in Rome, Georgia. A college athlete who, by all accounts, was sober and studying late when the incident occurred. On the night of October 2nd, 2025, after a library study session, he accidentally struck a parked vehicle in a largely empty campus parking lot and, acting responsibly, called campus security and then local police to report the accident and submit to whatever process was required. According to his own words in subsequent interviews, he did what he was taught: report the crash immediately, face the consequences honestly, take responsibility completely. Officers from the Rome PD arrived on the scene soon after McClain called to report the minor parking lot accident. As shown by the body cam footage, once on the scene, the officers initiated a battery of field sobriety tests. And after Fineran completed the field sobriety test, the officer administered a breathalyzer, which registered 0.00000, meaning he did not have any alcohol in his system. Despite that clean result, based on Fineran's performance in the field sobriety test, plus the accident itself, an officer declared that there was probable cause to arrest him for suspected impairment by something other than alcohol, mystery, effectively a drug-related DUI arrest. Fineran was then handcuffed and taken into custody that night, spending hours in jail, despite there being no physical evidence of drugs or alcohol in his system at that time. At the time of the arrest, officers reportedly found no drugs, no alcohol, no medication, no drug paraphernalia in his vehicle or on his person, nothing to support the hypothesis of impairment. After the arrest of Fineran, authorities sent his samples to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the GBI. It's not quite as big a deal as the FBI, but they're out there. And they were going to do some toxicology testing. Well, guess what? Their lab ran both blood and urine analyses. The results came back completely clean, showing no presence of alcohol, illegal drugs, or prescription medication. It did, however, show that he had an encounter with an idiot cop. With those test results in hand, prosecutors dropped the DUI charges against Fineran. The arrest, and even more, the fact that it occurred despite zero chemical evidence of impairment, has had profound personal consequences. Before I get into that, here's what I want to say. I've watched the field sobriety test. This guy was stone cold sober. I think he could stand on one leg for like an hour and a half. He's basically a flamingo. Fineran's family described the experience as stressful and traumatizing, with the father warning that the DUI arrest could haunt Fineran on background checks and job applications for years. According to online reports, Fineran entered the transfer portal to leave Shorter University. Meanwhile, the arresting officer was formally reprimanded, but not for making the arrest, but for deficiencies in report documentation, according to the local police department. So how does an arrest like this even happen? Well, the easy answer, and probably the right answer, is incompetent cops. But a more technical answer, however, is that what ultimately allowed officers to arrest Fineran despite a 0.000 breathalyzer and no evidence of alcohol or drugs was the legal standard of probable cause. Under Georgia law, an officer can make a DUI arrest if they reasonably believe a driver is impaired, even without chemical confirmation. In statements to Coosa Valley News, Rome police emphasized this point, asserting that the arrest was lawful based on probable cause at the time, referencing the minor crash and the officer's misinterpretation of Fineran's field sobriety performance. Watch these tests. The dude aces them. Now, that framework creates a striking gap between what police are legally permitted to do and what forensic science later proves true. A person can be arrested without evidence, jailed without proof, branded without basis, and then forced to transfer without an NIL deal. And we've seen this happen time and time again. Most notably for my viewers in the case of Taven Galanakis. Galanakis was arrested for a DUI despite being completely sober. And after he was released, he filed a lawsuit against the Fig Newton PD for excessive force and unlawful arrest, and that case is expected to go to trial in March of next year. So we'll get like a full month of Winter Olympics, and then we get the Galanakis trial. I can't wait. In both incidents, the police relied heavily on subjective interpretations of field sobriety tests instead of objective evidence. And in both cases, officers escalated to arrest even when no alcohol, no drugs, no physical indicators supported impairment. Gallinakis' lawsuit argues that the officers violated his Fourth Amendment rights by manufacturing probable cause based on attitude and non-standardized cues. The same dynamic seen in Fineran's arrest, where a minor accident and an officer's impressions outweighed a clean breath test, outweighed clean toxicology, outweighed every objective measurement of sobriety. Cut again to him standing on one leg. I mean, look at this guy. This is an athlete. An athlete. And because of these similarities, Fineran may have comparable options for litigation. He could pursue a Section 1983 civil rights claim, arguing unlawful seizure without probable cause and potentially unreasonable detention after officers ignored exculpatory evidence, meaning all the evidence. A hunch is not evidence. If he can show that the arresting officer applied improper standards or deviated from training, or there was no training, especially in the absence of alcohol, drugs, or behavioral indicators, he might also assert a false arrest or malicious prosecution claim under Georgia law. Mr. Fineran, should discovery reveal broader issues with the Rome PD, such as inadequate training or improper reliance on field sobriety tests for drug DUI determinations, he could explore a Monell claim against the city itself for unconstitutional policies or patterns. While the officer was only reprimanded for documentation errors, the combination of a documented 0.0000 breath test, the kind that you and I would have right now, a clean toxicology panel, and the serious personal fallout, including disruption to his education and his athletic career, well, that all combines to give Fineran a factual foundation that mirrors the core theory driving the current Gallinakis lawsuit. McClain Fineran's arrest, a night in jail, a derailed season, a stain on his record despite 0.00 alcohol and clean GBI toxicology, well, that all underscores how profoundly subjective DUI enforcement can be when officers rely on field sobriety interpretations over measurable evidence. Going forward, the most important thing to watch is whether Fineran pursues litigation similar to the lawsuits filed in other wrongful DUI/drug arrests across the country, which have challenged police officers' use of probable cause when all objective indicators point to sobriety. It's also worth watching whether Rome police revise training or drug DUI protocols after reprimanding the officer for documentation failures. What are your thoughts on Fineran's arrest? I think you know mine. Do you think he should file a lawsuit, or is this dismissal of his charges enough? Do me a favor and drop your pro se opinion down below in the comments and let me know what you think. And don't forget, while you're down there, to lawyer up with me, America's Attorney, by hitting that subscribe button. Remember, we are really close to 50,000 subscribers, and that is all I want for Christmas. Don't make me beg. I'll be back soon with more legal breakdowns, and I'll see you then. Multiple field sobriety tests. Exact same scenario. Fineran entered the transfer.